Hello YouTube. In this video, I compiled a list of top sports memories and events in the Kansas City area from 2000 to 2025. It is 2025 after all, so I decided to look back on the biggest stories from the first quarter of the century that people will be talking about for the next 3 quarters of the century. I'll elaborate more on this video at the end, but for now, let's get to that list, shall we? Starting out at number 10, there have been plenty of great Kansas Jayhawk teams over the years, but we'll save the number 10 spot for the runner-up teams of 2003 and 2012. I mean, they should get a mention on this list, and well, that's why I put them at 10th. The 2002 KU team was 30-8 and nothing to be sneezed at. That team had star players like Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich, and Aaron Miles. The 2002 team also featured Roy Williams' last stint at Kansas before he would pack up his bags and head for Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The game was an exciting one to watch. Syracuse led for the majority of the game, and the game would come down to the wire towards the end. Fate would ultimately doom the Jayhawks as they would fail to make a three-pointer to tie the game. The game would be remembered for all of the missed opportunities Kansas passed up at the free throw line. The missed free throws would end up costing Kansas in that 78-81 loss to Syracuse. Nearly a decade later, the 32-7 2012 team would also make it very deep into the tournament, also coming off a regular season Big 12 conference victory. They would be disappointed in the finals by coming up just short against Kentucky. Kentucky would lead most of the game and hold off a valiant Kansas comeback. That team had the likes of Jeff Withey, Tyshawn Taylor, and Thomas Robinson. They, of course, were led by another legendary Kansas coach, Bill Self. While both these seasons were spectacular, they don't represent the pinnacle of Kansas basketball success. The Kansas City Chiefs have been known as an NFL team with a loyal fan base for a long time. One of the best traits of this fan base is how loud it is. It's not only broke the Guinness World Record once, it broke it twice. The first time was during an interception versus the Raiders at the end of the game on October 13th, 2013. That day, they hit 137.5 decibels. However, the Seattle Seahawks would take that title with 137.6 decibels later that year. Kansas City fans weren't scared to back down from a fight though. Decided to try once again. During a game in 2014 against the Patriots, organizers attempted once again to get Chiefs fans to set a new noise record. While in a timeout taken after Tom Brady and the Patriots had no answers against a fired-up Chiefs squad, Chiefs fans would once again claim the title as loudest outdoor stadium in the world at 142.2 decibels. So far, the record has stood for 11 years and no one has been able to break it ever since. Back to college basketball. Even though there was uncertainty surrounding the Kansas basketball program after Roy Williams' departure, viewers of Big 12 basketball could be certain that for the next 14 seasons from 2004 to 2018, Kansas would be at the top of the discussion for who would win the regular season Big 12 title. The Big 12 would undergo a lot of change over the years, but Kansas kept dominating in the conference regardless. In that stretch, there is one national championship, national runner-up in 2012, and a Final Four appearance in 2018, with appearances in the NCAA tournament each year during that time. This era of Big 12 dominance will be one of Bill Self's iconic achievements for KU. What was your favorite year of conference dominance during that stretch? And oh boy, there were plenty of memorable games during that period. From the legendary triple overtime game between Kansas and Oklahoma, to all of the different games played with Iowa State here in Lawrence as well as in Ames, to the classic Sunflower Showdown. For non-KU fans in the KC Metro, KU's dominance would come to an end in 2018, while the Big 12 regular season championship would remain in Kansas. It would be none other than the in-state rival Kansas State that would claim the cherished title long held by Lawrence. Since then, no team in the Big 12 has come close to such dominance. We will have to see how long Houston remains at the top, since they have won the conference in back-to-back seasons. With conference realignment, several local Big 12 members would leave and join other conferences. For example, Nebraska left, and more close to home, Missouri leaving for the SEC would be the biggest gut punch to Kansas City sports fans. Many fans were concerned it would lead to the end of the border war rivalry that has existed for decades between the two schools, Kansas and Missouri. 2011 and 2012 would see many exciting games between Kansas and Missouri, especially memorable college basketball games in Columbia and Lawrence. The rivalry would be capped off with an exciting basketball game in Lawrence. In that game, Missouri would be up big for most of the game. Kansas would chisel away at the lead though as the game progressed. Thomas Robinson would prevent Missouri from regaining the lead with a timely block. When the game ended, Missouri failed to make a three in time to avoid defeat. Since 2011, there was widespread speculation that the rivalry would be renewed, and that speculation would be correct. Both universities have tried to renew the rivalry in the 2020s. There have been several basketball and baseball games played so far, with Missouri most recently winning in Columbia in men's basketball. There are football games scheduled for the 2025 and 2026 seasons as well. We will have to see if both universities will continue to be interested in continuing this historic rivalry. The Kansas City Wizards were the newest team to enter the Kansas City sports market. Originally a brainchild of Lamar Hunt, the team was a lofty dream of his to make soccer a mainstream sport in KC and across the US. The Wizards would undergo a name change in the early 2010s. Sporting KC would wind up being a reincarnation of the Kansas City Wizards. Originally, the organization called Arrowhead Stadium home. However, during the 2010s, the team would gradually build more awareness and a reputation in the community. The team got a makeover and a new stadium, Children Mercy Park, across the state line in Kansas. The rejuvenated team won a MLS championship in 2013, which would be Kansas City's first championship since the Royals won it all back in 1985. And it is technically Kansas's first championship in a pro sports league. The 2007 NCAA football season was a memorable season not just nationally, but for colleges on both sides of the state line in the Kansas City area as well. Rivals University of Missouri Tigers and Kansas Jayhawks would compete at the highest levels of Big 12 football. While the University of Kansas is known as a basketball school, the 2007 season will be remembered as the best football team in the school's history. Many believe that team was a fluke, an anomaly, but no matter how you put it, the team would go 12-1 that season, with the cherry on top winning the Orange Bowl against Virginia Tech. I know this video may seem a little biased towards Kansas City fans who may be Jayhawk fans as well. However, I will mention that Kansas's one loss came at the hands of Missouri during an exciting game at Arrowhead Stadium. The Missouri Tigers would hold off a Jayhawk comeback with this iconic image of Todd Reesing getting grass stuck in his helmet after getting sacked in the end zone at the end of the game for Missouri to seal that victory. Ironically, a week later, Missouri would then go on to be upset themselves a week later. The 2007 season was special because of how random it seemed to everyone, from local fans to sports analysts across the country. And Kansas just seemed to make it even more unique to help Kansas City experience some of that 2007 magic. The 2007-2008 stretch was a great time to watch college sports in the Kansas City area, as that was probably the best stretch of sports in the history of University of Kansas athletics, both the aforementioned football team and for the men's basketball program. The 2008 men's team would win it all with a amazing comeback down 9 with 2:09 to go, capped off by a shot from Mario Chalmers to force the game into overtime, ultimately beating a Derrick Rose-led Memphis Tiger team. It would be KU's first championship since 1988 and Bill Self's first national championship in his career. I personally believe there hasn't been a year that has compared to 2008 since. The 2008 and 2022 championships can be interchangeable on this list. Each championship features a spectacular comeback from both teams during their championship game. In the 2022 game, North Carolina seemed to establish control quickly into the start of the game during the first half. However, it would be a different story in the second half. Kansas would come back from a NCAA Finals record 16-point deficit to eventually win the game against North Carolina. The team was led by Ochai Agbaji, Remy Martin, and Christian Braun. While winning back-to-back championships would have been great, winning a championship is a great achievement nonetheless. It remains to be seen whether Bill Self can repeat that success in future seasons. While many people aren't necessarily surprised by Kansas basketball success, it was surprising to see the Kansas City Royals make back-to-back World Series appearances after not making the playoffs since their last World Series win in 1985. 14 season would end in frustration, with the tying run being left on third base in the final game of the World Series. Kansas City greats like Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Lorenzo Cain, and Yordano Ventura would be remembered for generations in Kansas City. Kansas City would be shocked when Ventura would die in a car wreck in the Dominican Republic. The Royals' World Series win seemed like another anomaly in the sports world, but doesn't matter if the team is a fluke or an anomaly if they still win a championship. No, in my opinion it doesn't. They were still the best team that year. Now, I gotta say the biggest story in Kansas City sports since 2000 has to be the Chiefs establishing Super Bowl dominance during much of the 2020s. Can you really pick a favorite Super Bowl? Each Super Bowl has a similar story of facing challenges in the first half just for the team to overcome them and make a miraculous comeback in the second half. My favorite Super Bowl out of the three has to be their first one during the 2019-2020 season. It ended a 50-year championship drought for the team. In the game itself, the San Francisco 49ers dominated the first three quarters just to see victory slip between their hands in the final minutes of the game. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and others would win their first Super Bowl. Kansas City got to also celebrate with a massive parade right before the pandemic would usher in stay-at-home orders the next month in March. And this is a decade after gradually improving from a rock-bottom, disastrous 2012 season. The rise of the Kansas City Chiefs is an amazing story that can be studied extensively and still not be fully covered. In my opinion, the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl wins and appearances are the biggest story and best memory of Kansas City sports. For much of my childhood, I grew up in the Lawrence, Kansas area. My family moved to Lawrence towards the end of 2001. As a sports aficionado, that meant that I naturally became a fan of the local sports teams in the area. I remember getting to go to several Royals games as a child. Did your school ever give out baseball game tickets for perfect attendance? Mine did, and that was pretty cool. I also got the privilege to set foot inside venues such as Allen Fieldhouse and Arrowhead Stadium. It was a treat to be welcomed by high-level basketball talent from the University of Kansas in the 2002-2003 season. As I grew up, I began to pay more attention to the narratives that existed among the different organizations. While there is plenty of content on YouTube that covers the achievements of each individual organization, I wanted to try and make a more comprehensive list of top memories, events, and narratives in the KC area over the years. And as you saw, the memories on this list may range from a single event during a game to a multi-year event. Now, this isn't a comprehensive list by any means. Kansas City and its various professional and collegiate organizations have had plenty of narratives associated with them over the years. What are your top favorite sports memories from this era of Kansas City sports? Whether it is a memorable moment in a game or an unforgettable streak that extended over several years. What makes the Kansas City sports culture so exciting to follow is the fact that there isn't a shortage of memories that you can choose from. You could disagree with several spots on my list and include your own, and it would be just as credible. I made this video partially to start a conversation around Kansas City area sports fans and see what memories they wanted to share. I am thinking of expanding this into a bigger series, covering topics during the same era in other cities and regions. Let me know if you want me to make a contemplation of memories during the first quarter century for your city. If you like the content in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And as always, have a nice day.